Kia ora tātou, good evening. Welcome to the Unitec Forum for the Future about the Supercity. I'd like to introduce first Rick Eade, the Chief Executive of Unitec, to give you a proper welcome, and then I'll come back to explain a little more about this evening. So a very warm welcome, please, for Rick Eade. Thanks.
Kia ora, Rod. No mai, haere mai, whakato mai, tēnā koutou, kia ora tātou katoa. Well, audience, members of the local community, our mayoral candidates, welcome to Unitec and welcome to our third and final Forum for the Future. Tonight, I hope we'll get a new angle on the future of Auckland, just as we at Unitec to seek to give our students a new angle on the learning experience. Tonight is in all respects an action learning project, hopefully for the audience, hopefully even maybe for the mayoral candidates, and in particular for the students from Unitec, from management and marketing, performing and screen arts, who are actually involved in the whole production of tonight's event. I wish you well. Good luck. Kia ora.
Hi, thanks. Thank you very much indeed, Rick. Over the previous two Tuesday evenings, we've been exploring the question of the Supercity. The week we asked ourselves, why? Why are we doing this to ourselves? Why do we feel we need to massively reorganise the way we run the region? And the speakers that night were Peter Salmon, the chairman of the Royal Commission, Mayor Bob Harvey, the second and last mayor of Waitakere City, and thirdly, Sir Ron Carter, distinguished business person and chair of Committee for Auckland. And the second week, last week, we were asking ourselves, well, what's on offer? What does the new structure look like? And what opportunities but challenges does that present? And the speakers last week were Peter McKinley from AUT, who runs AUT's research on local government, and a man probably outside politicians who knows more about this than anybody else. And then two members of the select committee that worked on the three Auckland bills, Shane Jones, a member of the Labour caucus, and Nikki Kay, a member of the National caucus and MP for Auckland Central. Last week's discussion was really interesting because a lot came out, particularly from those three sort of expert guest speakers, in terms of what still needs to be worked on to make this new structure work, but what the great opportunity was to get a much better outcome for not just all of us here in Auckland, but for around the country as well. Based on those two sessions, we put three questions to the seven candidates. The first one is, what is your vision for Auckland, particularly in the crucial first term? Secondly, how will you help build the grassroots engagement and empowerment of people in this big new structure? And then the third question is, how will you plan to work with Wellington on those very big issues that Wellington never lets go of, like social policy and the environment and transport and education and the like? Now, we'll probably frustrate you a bit tonight because those are all very big questions, and we're trying to get through a lot with three questions to each of the seven candidates and some response, not just from you here in the studio audience, but we're web streaming this as we have the last 2 weeks. And we've got Jason sitting there who's handling lots of tweets coming in, and you'll see tweets up on the main screen here. And we've had good engagement through that. And in fact, Andrew was saying he was just at Palermo prison earlier today, and they promised him they were going to watch tonight via web streaming, and they would vote for him if he got them out of jail so they could vote. So anyway. So welcome to the web audience. It's wonderful to have you here. And I apologise, I've half got my back to you. And so the format is very simple. 3 questions, and I've generated a random running order for the speakers, which they've all got in front of them. And so we're just going to put each question to each candidate, and after each candidate's spoken, give you and our web audience a chance to respond. So here we go. Oh, one last thing about housekeeping. Ewan Gilmore, who is sitting right here, has to go off to work, as if this wasn't serious work to begin with, shortly before 7. So when he slips out a few minutes before anybody else, don't read anything into that at all, other than he's a man who's earning a living. So the 7 candidates are Ewan Gilmore, Colin Craig, Len Brown, Simon Prast, Andrew Williams, John Banks and Penny Bright. And very briefly about each of them, Ewan is an actor and Westie comedian. Colin is a businessman and organiser of marches. Len's Mayor of Manukau City. Simon Prast is an actor, theatre impresario and the like, turned politician. Andrew Williams, Mayor of North Shore City. John Banks, Mayor of Auckland City. And Penny Bright, water campaigner. So there we are. And the first question is to you, Ewan, on vision. Thanks. Over to you.
Thank you very much. And firstly, just thank you for inviting me along here today. My vision for the city is pretty bleak, actually, because the city doesn't have any money. The previous councils have spent all the money, and I've already heard some of the campaigners for this mayoral race saying that they'll be spending more money. Now, I find this very, very difficult to deal with. There's always the spending of the money, but there never seems to be big plans in place to start paying some of this back. And as soon as we start adding something to the bill, people like my mother, who's on a fixed income, has to take something out of her budget each week. And those are the things that really worry me. Without jumping on Colin's bandwagon, I think the leaky homes thing is a very, very important issue. It's a huge bill that Auckland is going to have to face at some point in some way. I think that is a really big issue. I've never been a big fan of the joining together of the Supercity. I don't like it being called Auckland or even the Greater Auckland. I feel that minimises the people like the people in Pukekohe. And just speaking of leaky homes, I think like the Franklin City had less than a handful of leaky homes. Now all of those residents are going to have to help pay the bill for all of the other leaky homes. And I think then we need to look outside of just Auckland Central, and too much, I think, of this mayoral campaign at the moment is just based on Auckland Central. I would like to see us engage with the communities in Franklin and Papakura and North Shore and Takapuna, Devonport and Waitakere and Henderson and Manukau, Manurewa. Auckland is important, it is the hub, but it's not the most important.
Fine, thank you very much. A round of applause for Ewan, please. Thanks very much. Would anybody like to respond to Ewan or ask him a question? If you do, I need to get a microphone to you. Any takers? Right. Don't worry. We'll come right back to you. Secondly, I'd like to turn to John. John, your vision for the Greater Auckland.
Tēnā koutou katoa. All great cities have great universities and learning institutions. Unitec is a great learning institution. My son Sergei comes here and is completing a mechanical degree. I have a vision that represents opportunity, security and prosperity for the citizens of Auckland, reaching out from Wellsford to Tuakau, from Little Huia to Maraetai and everything in between. We must embrace all the communities through engagement with the community boards. I have a vision for the city that has heart and soul, music and culture, that values its heritage, values its natural heritage, values our beautiful harbours, values our built heritage. I have a vision for the city that has a world-class economic infrastructure platform, rail, integrated public transport, ferry services, architecture and design, better integrated public transport. My vision for Auckland is built on opportunity, security and prosperity for our young, reaching out and covering the social divide that exists with education, hope and work. I have a vision for this city built on consistent, decisive leadership from day one. This is the biggest reform of local government we're ever going to see in New Zealand. It has to work from day one, it has to work for Auckland, it has to work for the country and it has to work for every citizen.
Fine, thank you very much indeed. A round of applause for John, please. Thank you very much.